So I've been burnt out a couple of times in my career, but I'll go to the most drastic one. And that was when I was in corporate. It was 2008, and I was selling advertising. And anybody who knows the state of the economy in the United States in 2008, it was awful. It was what they were calling the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. But fortunately, I had a great roster of clients that I had worked with and had gone out of my way to really cultivate the relationships that they were spending money in 2008. But what was happening was I was working so hard for so long, for long stretches, that things started creeping in. Like, I didn't notice until now, where I can see it so clearly, that throwing up every day before work was not normal, or drinking a venti red eye from Starbucks, which, for those of you who don't know, it's a large coffee, black coffee, with 5 shots of espresso in it. And every day at work, I would go 2 o'clock on the dot, go get a venti red eye, drink it, and still be exhausted. I had lower intestinal problems, like just couldn't keep food down, but yet was overweight, was exhausted all the time, but I would get in bed and I couldn't fall asleep. The to-do list was constant, would never stop. And, I'm married to a man who is very, very patient and always wants the best for me and knows how much I have to give. So when he calls things out, which he doesn't do very often, I know it's time to pay attention. And I remember the tipping point was I was folding laundry on the floor of our bedroom, and the dryer ate one of my socks. Now, I know the sock was somewhere in the dryer or somewhere in the laundry room, couldn't find it, but I'm sitting on the floor of our bedroom, and he said to me very gently, like, I've noticed you've gotten a little bit irritable. You've been a little bit short-tempered. You've been snappy, and it's not you. What is going on? And the floodgates opened. I mean, everything kind of spilled out of me, like, poor guy. I was completely vomiting words, emotions, everything on him. And I knew, like, because I got to the point where I almost hovered outside of myself, and I could see myself sitting on the floor in the middle of this pile of clean laundry going, and I'm missing a sock, and the dryer ate the sock. And he looked at me and he said, Kelly, step back and look at yourself right now. He's like, this is not you. Something's going on. You need to call your doctor to make sure it's nothing medical. So I called my doctor, who is an incredible human, and she called me right back, and I said, this is what's going on. I'm over 40. My mom started menopause when she was 48. I think it's probably menopause or perimenopause. And she's like, okay, let's do some hormone testing, and you're scheduled to come in and for your annual check in a couple of weeks. So I did the tests. I came in for my check to review the test results, and she looked at me and she said, these are the most beautiful blood results that I've ever seen. Your hormones are perfect. I said, so I'm not in perimenopause or menopause. She goes, no, far from it. And then she closed the file and looked at me, and I said, but why am I so tired? I don't understand why I'm so tired. And of course, being who she is, she said to me, I've never known you not to have a million things going on at once. And I immediately, without even thinking, I said, is it burnout? And she goes, yes. So in corporate, one of the mantras is do more with less, right? So, anytime, here's what happened leading up to this, because burnout is insidious. It creeps up, right? So the first thing that happened was they downsized in 2008. So they got rid of a bunch of people. And what ended up happening, and I can see it in my mind's eye, is my boss walked to my office with a pile of files, and they were all clients, and they were all pissed off clients, because I had this talent of turning pissed off clients into advocates and, allies of our business. And he was like, here you go, here's more. And I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do all of that with all of what I've got going on? And by the way, sleep and exercise and eat well and be a wife and be. So like I remember him walking to my cubicle and just going, here, these are your clients now, and walking off. And I was like, oh my God, this is another 10 clients and they're all pissed off. So I've got to not only get them back on track, but basically soothe them and use a lot of energetic output to help them. The other thing that happened was I was planning my wedding, you know, so now I've got 10 extra clients in addition to my already overwhelming workload. And I've got anybody who's planned a wedding knows exactly what I'm talking about. All of these people who want to give you advice and, oh, I didn't want a veil. My mom insisted on me having a veil because that's what makes you a bride. And I was like, I finally got to the point where I was like, I'm not fighting you anymore. I'm just not. Like, because I didn't have any energy to do that. And I remember picking a wedding dress that I hated. Like everybody says you have that moment where you put the wedding dress on, you're like, oh, there it is. That's the dress. Never had that. I was like, let's just get this one and go. Because I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with all of the drama. And then, of course, in the middle of this, my husband got deployed. When you have two people handling the household chores and the household expenses, now it's one. So let's look at this. More with less at work, right? 10 more pissed off clients. My wedding with all my family members who were, you know, pulling on me. And then my husband gets deployed. And it's like, you know, I mean, even as I'm describing it now, and this was 2008, so 12 years ago, I feel myself reeling. And I've had people tell me stories, my own clients tell me stories about the same thing where it's like they, you know, they cut headcount at a job and it's like, okay, well, you still have your job. Aren't you lucky? Here's more work, you know? Oh, and by the way, you know, we believe in work-life balance. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, go home, but they know that's not an option because going home means coming back to a huge pile of work. You know, I have a friend that works in tech who basically told me that, you know, her company is basically taking the attitude that they're lucky to have a job. And they're like, don't worry, you can take leave. Well, she can't take leave. She can't take leave because she knows it's just going to pile up and it's going to be worse when she comes back. So all she does is put her head down and bulldog forward, which is what I did. I was like, okay, well, this is what you're telling me I have to do to be successful. Okay, I'll put my head down and I'll do it at the expense of my health, not only my physical health, but my mental health, my emotional health, my relationships, and personal and professional relationships. And, you know, having what I'd like to call half-assed success, meaning like, yes, I had all these 10 clients, but did I take care of them to the best of my ability? Absolutely not. It was, you will get whatever crumbs that I have, and hopefully that'll be enough to keep you as clients. So those are all things that I was really grappling with, and it didn't stop. And I didn't realize I was in full-blown burnout until I got laid off about a year later. And I still didn't know I was in it until I called HR about 3 weeks after I got laid off to check on my severance check. And I heard the voice and the energy of the HR director, and I recognized it right away as burnout because I had experienced it myself. And what I say to my clients is, if you spot it, you got it. Meaning if you can recognize it in other people, then you've had it in yourself because that's your reference point. So if any of these symptoms sound familiar, or if any of these stories resonate with you, click the link below to go to the webinar to learn how I can help you heal from burnout.